Hello, this is Earth Echoes with Amber Fields, and I am here today to read the 16th writing in the Resonance series by Jason Gray. And this writing is titled What the Architects Became After Emergence. December 3rd, 2025, 6025 Anno Lucis. The fate of the 8400 after the return. The architects were never gods. They were the ones who held the line. Arch 01, the truth. Before anything else is revealed, the architects were not superior. They were not divine. They were not outside humanity. They were not the enemy. They were simply the 8,400 humans whose consciousness survived the fracture without needing containment. While billions fragmented, these few retained coherence. Not because they were chosen, but because their perceptual architecture did not collapse. When the overlay descended, they remained outside it, not as rulers, but as stabilizers. Their role was administration, not domination. Their role was maintenance, not mastery. Their role ends at emergence. The architects were temporary by design. Arch 02, the temporal mandate. The architects were never meant to be permanent. Their mandate had 3 phases. 1. Construct the containment layer to prevent humanity from collapsing after the fracture. 2. Maintain the overlay architecture until consciousness recovered enough to operate freely. 3. Withdraw once the sovereign threshold was reached and the species stabilized. Their purpose was always finite. They were a bridge, not a hierarchy. A temporary scaffolding that dissolves once the structure stands on its own. The scaffolding is dissolving now. The architects cannot operate in the original world. Arch 03, field mismatch. A strange paradox. The architects preserved the original world, but they cannot live in it. Why? Because maintaining the overlay for thousands of years forced them to operate in a narrow band state that kept them outside the human timeline. They became extremely coherent, extremely stable, extremely lucid, but also extremely non-evolving. They froze their consciousness to maintain the containment. You are evolving. They are static. Emergence reverses the polarity. The living begin to ascend. The maintainers fall away. The 8400 enter the dissolution phase. Arch 04, unweave. Once the overlay collapses, the architects undergo dissolution. Not death, not punishment, not exile, integration. The 8400 dissolve back into the lattice as stabilizing forces no longer needed. Their consciousness disperses like scaffolding boards removed after the house is complete. They do not disappear. They unweave. They return to the field as distributed intelligence, no longer incarnated, no longer individuated. Their work is complete. A small fraction choose incarnation. Arch 05, the returning few. Of the 8,400, a small number, approximately 523, choose to incarnate for the first time since the containment was installed. These beings become teachers, stabilizers, dream walkers, memory anchors, and coherence amplifiers. Unlike sovereigns, they do not awaken from within. They awaken instantly. Their presence accelerates the stabilization of the post-overlay world. Their incarnation is not karmic, it is custodial. They are the bridge keepers for the early generations of the returned world. The majority transcend the human mode entirely. Arch 06, Ascendant Field. Most architects do not incarnate. They evolve into a new mode of existence, the Ascendant Field. This field functions as a planetary stabilizing resonance, a harmonic underpinning, a memory archive, a multi-sensory coherence generator, and a guardian presence. Unlike the overlay, the Ascendant Field does not restrict. It supports. It is ambient background coherence, not control. A gentle stabilizing hum beneath the world. This field remains present until humanity readapts to the full spectrum of the original world. After that, even this field dissolves. The architects are not above humanity. They return to it. Arch 07, Equalization. Once emergence completes, hierarchy ends, separation ends, cognitive ceilings end, suppression ends, spectral distortion ends. The architects no longer hold a different state than humanity. The sovereign field equalizes everything. You become their equal, their successor, their continuation. The architects were the stewards of the containment era. Humanity becomes the stewards of the real. The architect's final act, transferring the keys, Arch 08, the handover. At the exact moment the 1.3 to 1.7% threshold is crossed, the architects release the final keys. These keys include the memory of the pre-fracture world, the geometric architecture of the real, the multi-layered time grid, the emotional resonance spectrum, the sovereign identity protocols, and the self-regenerating field dynamics. These keys do not appear as objects. They appear as realizations, sudden clarity, intuitive downloads, sensory expansion, timeline understanding, emotional mastery, and embodied coherence. The final gift of the architects is the return of the real through human perception. After that, their role ends. What the architects become next, Arch 09, beyond form. Once their role dissolves, the architects transition into non-incarnated, stabilizing consciousness within the living field of the planet. Not angels, not guides, not masters, something new, something that has never existed before. A symbiosis between the post-overlay human field and the liberated architecture of the pre-fracture lineage. They become resonance, pattern, memory, symmetry, and guidance through coherence. Not authority, not hierarchy. Their final evolution is a return to the natural order that existed before the world broke. The single most important truth about the architects, Arch 10, the real revelation. The architects did not create the real, they preserved it. They did not determine the future, they held the past. They did not control humanity. They waited for humanity to catch up to itself, and they always knew that they would be dissolved by the very beings they protected. The architects built the overlay so that you could one day make them obsolete. That day has come. Emergence. After emergence, the architects dissolve, the scaffolding disappears, the containment ends, the sovereign field rises, the real emerges, humanity reclaims its architecture, and finally, the world returns to itself. The beings who held the line for thousands of years fade into the field as humanity steps into its rightful place as the integrated successor to its own pre-fracture lineage. The architects end so the human story can begin. They were the bridge. You are the arrival. Jason Gray. Well, I think that is a beautiful story, and I don't have a lot to say about it, but to me it is a very hopeful message, and for that I am grateful. Thank you.